All right, hello everyone. So this video is going to be a little bit different. As some of you may know, I was a speaker at the NHA Conference a few weeks ago, the National Health Association Conference. This is my second year going there and sponsoring the conference, and they were kind enough to give me the recording for the conference so that I can share with you guys that weren't able to attend. So my only ask is that, you guys check out the NHA Conference. I have an awesome membership, a lot of great resources if you're looking to thrive on a whole food plant-based lifestyle. My wife, Ivy, and I will also be there next year sponsoring the conference as well. Maybe we can do like a little dinner or something like that for everyone that's going to be attending. So be sure to check those out with the link down below. If not, enjoy my talk at the conference.
Awesome. So just a little introduction. My name is Maxim Seguin, for those that don't know who I am. I'm the founder of the world's top whole food plant-based body recomposition coaching program. I'm the host of the Fit Vegan podcast. And if you here listen to the Fit Vegan podcast, we have a few people. Yeah, all right, awesome. All right. Personal trainer and certified Robin Madonis coach. We transformed over 1,000 plus people in 20 different countries in the past 5 years. And I'm also a fit vegan athlete. Trained for a lot of different sports, but right now playing for basketball. So you've probably seen me on some of these incredible shows that you can see on the screen here. Some of you have discovered me because of those shows. So a quick background story. I grew up on a farm. We were farmers, so we had chickens, cows, geese, horses. We were the farmers that, we kill about 100 chickens a year, so we can have meat in the freezer and kind of sell it to the local community. We had eggs. So I didn't grow up a vegan. We grew up making fun of vegan, right? Eating these blocks of plastic. It was tofu. Now we know we can make it taste good. But back then, that's not how it was introduced to me. So I was raised ate a lot of meat growing up, and then I got into basketball in high school. I'm going to bring you through all the transformations that I've gone through and the relationship with food, because I think that's a big part here, right? The things that are preventing us from getting the body that we want. Played high school basketball, got recruited to play in college basketball, played there for about 3 years. After that, I decided to fall into bodybuilding. So I met a guy at my gym, he was really big, and I was like, I want to do what you do, I want to look like you. And so he introduced me to bodybuilding. I decided to compete. I went down to 4% body fat, which is what you see on the photo right here. All right, I wouldn't wear that on stage nowadays, but I didn't know any better back then. So in order to look like that, I had to be in a severe calorie deficit. I exercised for 3 to 4 hours every day. I was doing Stairmaster for 2 hours. I was starving. I was miserable. At the end, I couldn't even sweat. All right, I was getting a little bit dangerous at the end before I stepped on stage. And it was so restrictive that I developed a very unhealthy relationship with food. And after my show was done, guess what I did? I gained 50 pounds in 30 days. So, that's a long time ago. I look older in that photo than I do now, and that's over a decade ago. So at that point, I put on 50 pounds in 30 days. I can't even imagine dieting, going on another diet to try to lose the weight, because the blueprint that I had in my head at that point was you severely starve yourself and you do a ton of exercise. So when I gained all the weight back on, I was like, well, I'm feeling a little bit pudgy, right? I went from six-pack to man boobs at that point, and I was like, I don't want that anymore. So I think, okay, on Monday, I'm going to start again. So then the weekend before, guess what I did? I ate real good. And then on Monday would come, and I'd be on track for 2-3 days, really severe. And then after the third day, I was like, I'm really craving like cookies. I was a sweet guy. I was craving cookies, and then I eat some cookies, and I'd be like, I messed up the whole thing. Might as well eat a pizza and donuts at this point. I'll wait next Monday and restart again. But then the next Monday, guess what I did on the weekend before? I ate more food. So I went all the way up to 240 pounds. That was at my heaviest. And when I got there, I told myself, I always like to work out. I always worked out throughout all of it, which goes to show that nutrition is not the only thing when it comes to being fit. So let me find a sport where I can I call myself fat, a chunky monkey. I was like, how can I be a chunky monkey but still exercise? I'm like, powerlifters, they're fat and strong. I'll be a powerlifter. So at that point, I went on the whole diet. Who's ever heard of the whole diet before? Not my kind of whole diet. Whole pizza, whole pint of ice cream, whole cake, whole of everything. You bought something, you ate the whole thing. So that's when I got up to 240 pounds. Felt miserable. I had a hard time climbing up the stairs. My butt was so big, I turned around and knocked stuff, and I didn't even know I was reaching that far. So maybe it took me a good 2 to 3 years that I was at that weight, that I struggled. I was like, on Monday, I'm going to start again. I'm going to lose some weight. One day I was with a friend of mine. We go into an office for his modeling agent. I walk into the office. She sees me. She's like, I see something under those big chubby cheeks. I was like, I think there's a jawline under there. She's like, try losing some weight. We'll do a photo shoot. And so that's what I did. I had motivation to continue losing the weight, so I started to lose some weight. And that led me into high fashion modeling. And that's what turned me to veganism at that point, because I was 240 pounds. I couldn't fit in the sample size of the modeling industry, which was a medium, the small medium shirt. I was about an extra large plus at that point. So I went on Google. I said, what diet is going to get me the skinniest, the fastest? Vegan came up. Vegans are skinny and weak. I was like, I don't like the idea of being weak, because I've been really strong for a long time, but I need to get skinny. So I went vegan overnight. So I went from eating a dozen eggs for breakfast. I was eating 3 chicken breasts a meal for 5 additional meals a day, so it's 15 chicken breasts a day. And the next morning, my breakfast was frozen blueberries, bananas, and dates. All right? And so I severely underate when I went vegan. I didn't do it properly because I didn't know any better. I was like, fruits and veggies. I didn't think of grains. I didn't think of nuts and seeds. I was like, fruits and veggies. So I lost 80 pounds in my first year. I lost a ton of muscle. I lost a ton of fat as well. I was able to, go to about 160 pounds. Did some photo shoots, ended up having a jawline under all of those chubby cheeks. And I worked in Milan, Italy. I worked in New York, traveled around a little bit, and was able to do high fashion runway. I was too tall for commercials. You wouldn't see me in a Target ad. So I was the tall guy walking down the runway in Italy and New York. From there, fast forward to kind of the next endeavor, which I'll get into the cancer journey soon, but I ended up cycling from Vancouver to San Francisco to raise money for cancer patients because my late partner at the time was going through cancer. So when I was 22, I met my late partner. Within 3 months of us dating, she gets diagnosed with breast cancer. I stuck by her side the whole way through. Doctors gave her a year to live, and I was like, hey, I'm whole food plant-based, and heard that it helps. And so made her go whole food plant-based. She ended up living 4.5 years longer before she passed away when I was 27, which was over 4 years ago. And during that time, cancer is very expensive, so I was trying to find ways to raise money. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bike from Vancouver to San Francisco. I was not a cyclist. And so I just put it up on Instagram. I found 4 other cancer patients to raise money for, and we raised a ton of money. It was a miserable trip, which was the whole point of it, because I was not a cyclist. I carried all my things with me, and I slept in a tent every single night. If you're curious, I have it on my YouTube channel. I filmed every day. I would bike and film, and I would edit in my tent, upload it while I was sleeping in my tent, and then I'd do it all over the next day. It took me 22 days to get to San Francisco. So you're gonna see a fun little documentary. From there, I was like, I need something harder, simply because, dealing with cancer, being a caregiver was very challenging. And I don't do drugs, I don't drink alcohol. I was like, I need something to numb myself. And when I biked for a long time, I was pretty mind-numbing. You don't do anything, you just pedal over and over. And so I went on Google, hardest events on earth. Google was my go-to, right? So I got vegan and fell into half Ironman training. So I found Ironman, didn't know what it was, decided to sign up for it. So swimming, biking, running. Ended up falling in love with it, competed in Ironman 70.3, and finished top 10% in the world in my age group. And that's after 2 years of training. So I did that, again, fully vegan. And then it fast forwards us to when my late partner passed away. It was over 4.5 years ago. So this is the tree in Mexico where I buried her ashes, because Mexico was her favorite place. It was in Merida, Mexico. And that's kind of what changed my whole world. I had started Fit Vegan prior to her passing, but that kind of solidified the mission that I was on. I wanted to help people not end up in her position through eating whole food plant-based diet and through exercise. Right? There's a lot of prevention through exercising, eating whole food plant-based, and having a healthy body weight. So that kind of solidified the mission that I had created for myself, which was to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce the risk of chronic illness by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. Right? So we were over almost at 1,100 people in the past 5 years. Little hint, I do have a book coming out December 1st of this year. So I'm going to count every book sold towards those lives impacted, because they'll get all the resources. So we're well on our way for that mission. And now, get to coach a lot of amazing, incredible members with my incredible wife, Ivy, who's at the front here filming me. and she wants me to tell you guys that she's the mastermind behind all of it, all right? So you got Gary and Linda, who are members of the NHA, probably been on some trips with them. And you got my man Chuck in there with the biggest bicep in the whole photo. There you go. All right. So I just want to show you guys an example of what's possible. So I got a ton of our members on there of different age groups. Again, all whole food plant-based through strength training. Some of them did not have a background in strength training. Some of them were not whole food plant-based when they started with us. Some of them transitioned while they've been with us. Some of them were already whole food plant-based and exercising, but they weren't doing it properly. Some of them were junk food, vegan, exercising, not exercising. So we're able to kind of bring them in, optimize their approach, and provide them more sustainable results. We got another slide for you in there as well. All right, so it's more of our members. We've coached people all the way from, I think our youngest was like 21, and then our oldest member currently is 86 years old. Yeah. And she's brutal. We did a group workout for the coaches where the member got to decide our workouts. She gave us 3 sets of 20 burpees for all the coaches. I think she was upset about how we created her workout for her. All right. So now let's get into like the actual information of how we transform people and what actually matters if you're trying to improve your body composition. So there's 2 fundamental truths that you have to understand about your body and transformation. And one of them is that your body will adapt to your environment. So if you sit around in a chair all day, you will adapt to that environment. You will become a professional sitter, all right? If you decide to garden 3 to 4 times a week, your body will learn to be strong enough to garden 3 to 4 times a week. If you walk every single day, your body will adapt to walking every single day. So if you want a higher level of fitness that you currently have, if you want a higher level of cardiovascular health, right, you want more stamina, more endurance, you need to put what we call a healthy stressor on the body so that the body has to adapt to that to be able to do it. So right now, if you can't do something, doesn't mean you won't be able to do it. It just means that you need to practice it over and over until the body adapts to doing it. Right? You've heard stories of people sitting on a couch to running a full Ironman. You know, Chuck's incredible weight loss story. Those are all through adaptation. Now, the next part is, this is the game that your body is playing. It does not want to die. So why is that important? So when it comes to nutrition and exercise, what a lot of people do when we think of weight loss and fat loss and body recomposition is we're going to cut a ton of food and we're going to exercise a ton, right? A lot of times it's because we're impatient. We want to lose as much weight as fast as possible. But here's what ends up happening when you do massive calorie deficit and you over-exercise from someone that is not used to it. One, your body's fat storage is a source of energy, right? So if you were to go down to, you can't even go down to 0% body fat, but you're more likely to die at 0% body fat. You have no fuel for the future. And so when you go into a steep calorie deficit, your body goes like, whoa, there's less energy coming in for all the exercise that I'm doing every single day, which can simply be you walking, going to work, doing a little workout here and there, gardening, whatever it may be. There's little food coming in, all this energy coming out. So if we're putting out this much energy and we're eating this little food, eventually your body's going to realize, hey, there's not enough energy coming in for what I'm demanding of it every single day, all right? So what your body starts to do, it starts to look internally of like what requires a lot of energy on a daily basis to maintain. Muscle is very expensive to maintain in terms of calorie. That's why the more muscle you have, the more food you get to eat. So big bodybuilders, they're consuming 3, 4, 5, 6,000 calories per day. And so what your body's going to do when there's a lot less energy coming in and a lot of energy output, it starts to burn through lean muscle mass. You start to lose lean muscle mass. So add that to the fact that you're over 45, sarcopenia kicks in, so you lose muscle at a much faster rate. You're losing a lot of lean muscle tissue really fast. Now, why is that important? If you want to be strong, you need a good amount of muscle on your body. If you want to increase your BMR, so be able to have a higher metabolism, be able to eat more food, you want more muscle. As you're getting older, the more muscle you have is going to be valuable because if you take a misstep and your leg can't handle it and you fall on the ground, you break your knee, you break your hip, how long does it take to recover when you're 60, 70, and 80 compared to when you're 20 and you're 30? Right? Massive difference. So it is important to have muscle to be able to, again, function through life. And also, you guys probably met a lot of fit people here that are in their 60s and their 70s and their 80s. You hear their stories. I've talked to a few of them. They're cycling. There was one gentleman, he's swimming from Alcatraz to San Francisco, a lot of cool things. So when you're fit and you have lean muscle on your body, you're able to continue to enjoy life at a higher degree versus if you're sitting in your chair and you're feeling weak and frail. You're not going to go for some of the things that you want, right? Unfortunately, society is built in a way where we work our whole life, and then when we stop working, we're retired, but then we don't have the health or the energy to do the things that we want to do. So we're trying to be able to have that fit body so we can enjoy all these activities. So the reason I'm putting that there, like I said, we don't want to do steep calorie deficits because you're more likely to lose lean muscle. So if you grab some of the best people in the world that are at improving their body composition, that would be bodybuilders. When they go into a cut, a lot of times they go slow and gradual so they can preserve as much lean muscle mass as possible. So that's what we do with our members. So now we're going to go over these four sections. So this is the core of all transformations that we do. At the base, it's going to be mindset, because who cares if I give you the best workout plan in the world and the best meal plan in the world? If you don't do it, nothing is going to change. It's just a plan that you hold in your hands. How many of you have like books and PDFs that you have in your computer and your emails that you haven't done anything with? It's just information that hasn't changed your life until you've implemented it, right? So mindset is the most important component. Now, the next one is going to be recovery and stress management. How many of you here are type A overachievers and have a hard time sitting down and relaxing? There would be a few hands up. I can't be the only one. All right, cool. So when you're constantly in a fight or flight or stress state, your body's more likely to hold on to fat, right? And you need the recovery component to be able to recover from the exercise you're going to be doing so that you can build lean muscle. You can't just be working out all the time, right? Third component is going to be nutrition, right? This whole conference is about whole food, plant-based eating, so we're all on board with eating this way. You're going to reduce inflammation in the body, reduce the risk of all chronic illnesses. There's been a ton of great doctors and speakers that have to, come on the stage to speak about the science of eating. I'll let these guys talk about the studies. I'll talk about fitness. Now, the top part is going to be training. We want, like I said earlier, we want to apply that healthy stressor on the body so it has a reason to be fitter, so it has a reason to be stronger, so it has a reason to have more stamina and muscular endurance. You're not going to magically get fit by thinking about exercise sitting in a chair. Okay? One thing we tell our members is training is the thing that builds your body. Nutrition is the thing that reveals it. Right? All of us have worked out for a while, but the nutrition wasn't really there. You're like, I look the same, or I look worse, right? So nutrition needs to be dialed in order to reveal the body. Now, let's start with the mindset. So setting a solid foundation. So those are three big sayings that we have for our members. The first one is progression over perfection. How many of you have tried to be perfect, and when it wasn't perfect, you're like, I'll wait until it's a perfect time in my life and I can get back at it, all right? Perfection will never happen. We've coached over 1,000 people. None of them have ever had a perfect journey. You need to learn how to navigate emergencies with family, emergencies with work, you traveling, family trips, all that stuff. So we just want to focus on perfection. If you can show up more often than you don't, eventually you'll get to your goal, right? You can't fail if you don't quit. Just keep that in mind. So as long as you keep going, you keep improving, you're going to get to your goal. The second one is consistency compounds. All right, just talk money a little bit here. If I add $0 to my bank account every single day, will it ever grow to anything other than $0? No. If I add $1 every single day, is it going to compound over the course of the next 2 years? All right. So I'll use $1 as like a representation of 100%. So there's going to be days for your nutrition and your workout where you feel on top of the world. You slept well, it's sunny outside. I'm going to eat how I'm eating my Buddha bowl. I'm going to have some tofu in there. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to go for my walk. You're going to feel great. That's like adding $1 to your investments. But there's going to be days where you feel like crap. You didn't sleep well. It's raining outside. It's gray. It's cold. You don't really feel like doing your workout. On that day, if you choose not to do a workout, not to show up for your nutrition, that's like adding $0 to the bank account. You have not contributed to you growing, to you getting better. So what we tell members is give 100% of what you got. So if you feel 30% for the day, give 100% of that 30%. That's like adding 30 cents to your investment. That's going to compound over time. It makes a difference. Because if we always wait for the time to be perfect or to feel good, we won't get anywhere. All right? And potentially some of you have had that experiences. I've had that experience for myself too. The last one is win the next meal, win the next workout. You probably saw that we have a booth probably right behind this wall here. We have little magnets that say win the next meal. Because how many times have you guys had the story that was as similar as mine? I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to have a good time on the weekend. And you start on Monday, and then 3 days after you have a bad meal, and you go like, next Monday. Some of you, it's next week, next month. Oh, hey, 2026 sounds very appealing in January. I'm going to wait for that magical day to restart again. So we tell members, win the next meal. You have one bad meal? Cool, hope you had a good time. Just eat your lunch, just eat your dinner, just eat your snack, wherever you're at in your day. You miss a workout, who cares? Do it the next day, right? You don't need to miss a whole week of workout or 3 days because you've missed one. Just focus on getting back on track as fast as possible, and that's how we're able to get you to your goals faster, because if you wait a whole week or a whole 2 weeks before you get back on track, well, you just delayed the whole thing by a whole 2 weeks and potentially went in the opposite direction at that point, all right? That make sense so far?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So now we're going to get into the 5 things you need to know to improve your body composition. So again, we just talked about the mindset, so setting the foundation to kind of reframe how you're going to approach your transformation. Now we'll get into some more tangible stuff, all right? So we'll get some slides with some numbers and stuff. So this is my incredible mom. She just turned 60. We helped her lose over 50 pounds. You probably saw in the initial slide. Yeah, I got a lot of cooking videos with her, which you can find on YouTube. So the first important point is calorie deficit. We all know that we can't lose weight if we are in a caloric surplus, right? Again, you can eat whole food plant-based as much as you want. If you eat 5,000 calories of whole food plant-based, guess what's going to happen? You're going to put on some weight, right? Now, being calorie deficit and not starving is a lot easier when you're eating whole food plant-based because there's so much volume, so much fiber, your nutrient receptors are more, get satiated faster. So what we want to start is with a small calorie deficit of 200 to 300 calories. You've probably heard online, if you want to lose a pound a week, remove 500 calories per day. If you want to lose 2 pounds per week, remove 1,000 calories a day, right? Because the representation is 3,500 calories for 1 pound of fat per week. That's 500 calories a day. If I remove 1,000 calories a day for you guys, and especially for the ladies, that's about half your food intake for the day sometimes, right? That's it. I'd be hungry too, and I would want to overeat too. So when we do a small deficit like that, it's just enough that the body goes like, oh, there's a little something different. Let's kind of get rid of a little bit of fat. Let's use it as energy, because it's not that big of a deal. Let's use a little bit of energy, and then your body is going to prioritize losing fat over muscle. But if you knock off 1,000 calories of your day intake, your body goes like, hey, big red alert here. We have a lot less food coming in. Let's use some fat, but let's burn some muscle because it's demanding a lot of that energy. And that's when a lot of people end up having that, I call it skinny fat. So skiing with a shirt on and fat when you're in your bathing suit. Right? Some people, you look soft and pudgy a little bit, and I've been there myself in the past too. So on the slide here, I put an online calculator. It is not my calculator, it's just a general one. There's a lot. You just Google TDEE calculator, total daily energy expenditure. So you enter your height, your weight, your level of activity, your age. If you have your body fat percentage, great, you don't need to. But it will give you a theoretical number based off of someone that has your stats of how much you should eat to maintain for your level of activity. Again, it is just theory. So off of that number, remove 200 to 300 calories. Stick to that for a week or two and see how your body responds. If you don't lose weight and you've actually been compliant, just remove an extra 50 to 100 calories. Right? That means you're not technically in a deficit. But for the majority of you, you should start to lose weight with that 200 to 300 calories. And we want to start nice and slow because we want to preserve as much lean muscle mass as possible and just focus on losing fat. All right? So next one here. Second important component, protein. I know it's a taboo topic, so I'm being bold here and talking about it. So protein. So when you're looking to improve your body composition, you want to aim for about 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. If you're carrying a lot of excess weight right now, just aim for your ideal body weight, right? Because you need the amount of protein to fuel the excess fat that's on the body. If you have your lean body mass, just feel free to use that number, but I would say the majority of people won't have that number. So that is potentially a lot more protein than some of you has heard, but it's a lot less than what you're going to hear from the fitness industry. Right? When I was bodybuilding, it was 2 to 3 grams per pound of body weight. I was eating 400 or 500 grams of protein per day back in the day. That's why I was eating so much meat. So 0.8 grams per pound of body weight is easily doable on a whole food plant-based lifestyle if you're being methodical about it. So instead of eating, 4 sweet potatoes with some grains and potentially some nut butter or like a salad with some dressing on top of it. Maybe just have half the amount of sweet potatoes and throw half a block of tofu in there, right? Or half a block of tempeh, or a quarter block of tempeh. So it's just about kind of having this similar meal, but removing of one thing just to add an extra protein-rich source, like edamame beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh. Right? I don't really touch seitan. We don't do fake meats. We don't do fake cheese or fake chicken. We don't do any of that in our program. We don't do any of that in our household. So yeah, 0.8 gram for your protein. Now, why that's important, before we go to resistance training. So when it comes to improving your body composition, a lot of people are worried about their macro ratio. like the carbs and the fat and all those things. Now, when you eat whole food plant-based, primarily you're gonna be higher in carbohydrates and you're gonna be lower in fat, right? I agree with everything that all the doctors shared earlier. I'm sharing from the perspective of body recomposition, in terms of all the studies that is done on body recomposition, the ratio of carbohydrates to fat does not matter at all. So you can be eating high fat, low carb, hit your protein, be within your calories, your body composition will improve, right? You could be eating, again, hear me out here, you could be eating vegan cookies and vegan ice cream. As long as you hit your protein and your calories, you're going to lose weight. You're gonna feel terrible. Your digestion is gonna be off, you're probably gonna get sick, your skin's gonna be terrible, you're gonna feel like absolute crap. So yes, we want to fill the calories and the protein with whole food, plant-based foods that are rich in vitamins and nutrients and fiber. Right? So it's not I'm not saying this, you get a free pass of like, oh, Maxim said it didn't matter, so I'm gonna eat a little cookie in there, right? So you wanna eat whole food plant-based, but when it comes to body recon, protein and calories are the only two metrics that matter. So you don't need to worry about obsessively tracking a carb number or a fat number, right? You can if you want to, but from a sustainability aspect, if you just eat whole food plant-based, naturally it's gonna be higher in carbohydrates and lower in fat, right? So third point, resistance training, strength training. Like I said, we need to apply good stress on the body to give it a reason to adapt. So resistance training is a cornerstone of intervention for preventing and reversing sarcopenia. So you guys know what sarcopenia is? Natural decrease of lean muscle tissue as we get older. All right? So the only way that you're gonna combat that is by applying stress on the muscle to give it a reason to stick around. And if you're eating properly, to fuel the recovery of that muscle so that it can grow bigger and stronger. So every time you're gonna be doing resistance training or strength training, you're gonna tear these little muscle fibers in your body. And then when you're not exercising with proper nutrition and proper rest, they're gonna build back a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger. Now, for everyone in here that's afraid to look like Arnold, right, from working out, I don't look like Arnold, and I've been working out for 20 years. I'm just gonna put it out there, all right? So, resistance training could be something as simple as, being in your house and squatting on your kitchen chair and just starting with body weight exercise. It could be grabbing reusable grocery bags with cans of beans in there and curling that. It could be a resistance band at your house. It could be dumbbells at your house, or it could be you going to a gym, right? Your body only knows resistance against gravity. So if you grab your grandchild or a dumbbell, 50 pounds is 50 pounds at this point, right? Have your grandchildren on your shoulders and do some squats with them. It's good for the core because they wiggle around, right? All right, so also, when it comes to strength training, it is one of the best things to build stronger bones because you're applying that pressure on the bones. There's Dr. Evan Esser yesterday talked about osteoblast and osteoclast. So this is a great system that the body has to build stronger bones, and that gets triggered when you're going to do strength training. So if you want to build stronger bones, if you want to halt osteopenia, strength training is going to play a massive role on it. All right? Again, as long as you combine it with proper nutrition, because if you're eating Twinkies and Pop-Tarts and ice cream while you're exercising, you're not going to have the best recovery, right? He shared yesterday how these little micro nerves are going to get blocked, and then you're not going to be able to build stronger bones. So the other thing, there was a new study that came out. It also helps to protect against cognitive decline and lower the risk of developing dementia. All right, so strength training overall is all positive. So I think what happens for a lot of people is potentially they're newer to it. They're afraid of getting hurt when they're exercising and not doing the movement properly. So I believe in the next slide right here. So here's a QR code that you can scan with your phone. I've recorded over 100 exercise videos. You have access for free on our YouTube channel. I go in depth. So I'll just say like, hey, here's how you do a squat. It's like, no, when you squat, the tension should be on your heels, your knees should be on the outside, you should hinge back. I go over every single little detail so you can learn how to work out safely and effectively. And there's exercises for home, for at the gym with resistance band, dumbbells, and kettlebells. All right, so I invite you to watch those. There's a warm-up video, there's a cool-down video, there's a stretching video, there's a lot for you in there, right? And while you're there, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 50,000 before the end of the year, so that'd be appreciated. Now, the fourth point, it's hard training. I don't use the word cardio because cardio has a negative connotation to a lot of people. Like, I hate cardio. Listen, you can have a flat stomach, strong muscle, but if your heart gets out, you're still dead, right? You need to train your heart. So for hard training, you want to aim for about 150 minutes a week of moderate to intensity activity. Now, if you're in our program, you're trying to improve your body composition, we will use it as a tool to induce more calorie deficit. So you might not start off at 150 minutes. We have members that start off with 0 minutes, But on the side, they'll do pickleball or go hiking or go for their walk, right? We'll use cardio as a tool to induce a little bit more calorie deficit down the road once we've kind of dialed in the nutrition. But you want to have a strong heart. Now, how many of you guys do like a pickleball or cycling or endurance race or endurance sports of any sort, like running here? There's a few hands up. Okay, cool. So for cardiovascular health, if you want to be better at running and cycling and pickleball and all those things, yes, you want to do cardiovascular exercise, hard training, but you want to do strength training, right? So I've done a bunch of half Ironmans. When I'm at that I'm close to the finish line, it's not my heart that wants to give out. My legs are dead. I can't run anymore. My legs are burning. So by doing the strength training, it's going to allow you to push harder, be more efficient without your heart rate going up as high. You'll just be able to get the job done a lot easier, all right? So hard training, very important. Pick something that you like. If you hate running, don't run. I've had people jump on trampolines, I've had people go rollerblading, I've had people go swimming, cycling. Pick an activity that you enjoy. It could be dancing with your partner. My wife and I are going to take dancing classes in a few months. I told her I'd do it this year, so I'm going to try. All right. So the whole purpose of hard training, again, have a stronger heart, but you can also, how many here you guys are counting your steps? A few of you, or being mindful of taking more steps throughout the day. So that falls under the NEAT category, so non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So when you're exercising every day with your strength training, with your workout, it's about 5%-ish of your calories burned for the day. So you're not actually strength training to burn calories, because you're not going to burn that much. You're literally just strength training to tear those muscle fibers so that when you recover, they become a little bit stronger, so you have more muscle, which will increase your BMR, which will allow you to eat a little bit more food. And then more food comes in, more vitamins, more nutrients, more energy. Right? Eating more food is not just for the sake of just eating more food. It's more vitamins, more fiber, more nutrients come in, which will make you feel better, more building blocks for the body. When you do your steps, it falls into that category. So NEAT, which is you walking around, me walking on stage, sitting down in a chair, grabbing the stairs, that can account for 15 to 45% of your calories burned for the day. It kicks the butt of you doing your strength training. So you being active throughout the day is what's going to burn the majority of your calories. That's why you can't wake up in the morning, go to the gym, do your exercise, and sit in a chair all day. All right? It'll be a very minimal amount of calories burned for the day. So hey, if you don't have a dog, get a dog. You'll be forced to take some walks, and then you'll get your steps in. All right? So now the last one is going to be something called reverse dieting. Who's ever heard of that before? Probably our members, people on the podcast. Yeah, okay, cool. So reverse dieting, which basically it's metabolic restoration. So we want to increase your metabolism back up to your maintenance calories so it is more sustainable for you to keep the weight off after. That's been the secret for us, what we've been doing over the past 5+ years to help our member keep the weight off after. Because a lot of people have the ability to lose the weight, but a lot of people have a hard time keeping the weight off after they've lost it. So there's two reasons for that. One of them is potentially they've used an unsustainable method to lose the weight, because how you lose the weight is how you keep it off. So if you starve yourself to lose it, that's all you know how to keep it off, right? You're just going to starve yourself. So you need to use a sustainable method, which again, slow with the calorie deficit, sustainable amounts of training, minimum 3 strength training sessions a week. Like, again, if needed, you could start with 10 minutes if that's all you have access to in terms of time. If you have the ability, 20. Usually we see a lot of great results, like 3 sessions of like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Some people want to do a little bit more, but it is very minimal compared to what a lot of people take on, thinking that they have to run 1 or 2 hours every single day, right? So what we want to do during that time is when you're going to a calorie deficit, your metabolism is going to slow down, right? Because we're slowly decreasing the food, we're increasing our energy output over time, and the body has to learn to use the food efficiently, right? So naturally it's going to slow down. That's why, some people end at the end of the fat loss phase and are eating, 1,400 calories, and then they stop losing weight because the body has adapted to that. That's why it's important to always make these little micro adjustments as we move along. We've had people lose 30 pounds on a 300-calorie deficit that was created over the course of 4 months. We remove 100, and get the body adapt to it, and then 50, and then they lost a little bit more, and we continued. According to standard fitness world, that would have been, a 1,000-calorie deficit per day for X amount of months. That person would have been hungry. 300-calorie deficit, that's 3 bananas. You're not really going to feel it at this point, right? So reverse dieting is going to help with preventing the yo-yo spike. Now, I'm gonna be upfront, I'm gonna explain to you how it works after, but there's no guarantees. If you do the weight loss phase, you do your body recomposition phase, you lose the weight, you reverse diet out of it, we bring your metabolism back up to maintenance so it's more sustainable. If you stop exercising and you go to eating vegan junk food, the weight's gonna come back on, all right? Not a miracle solution, it just leaves you in a better spot. So, helps with hormone balance as well, because when you're in a calorie deficit for a long time, it can affect your hormones like leptin, satiety, thyroid hormones, and make you feel hungrier and sluggish. Like, how many of you have been on a steep calorie deficit and you're just like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm not recovering from my workouts? I've been there multiple times in the past before I knew better. So what we want to do is gradually increase your food over the course of at least 4 months. So if you think of finishing your body recomposition phase and then just going right back up to what your new theoretical maintenance would be, because if you lost 40 pounds, let's just say your maintenance calorie was 2,400 to start off, and then you lost 30 pounds, then your new maintenance might be 2,000 calories, because you're lighter, you're carrying less weight at that point. So what we want to do is re-increasing back to what your new theoretical maintenance is. Again, it might be a little bit over, it might be a little bit under, depending on how your body responds, but usually it's pretty darn close. So in terms of psychological ease and sustainability, so if you end at 1,200 calories for a fat loss, and your body has adapted to that amount of food, do you want to eat 1,200 calories for the rest of your life? Maybe you do, but in terms of sustainability, as soon as you go on a trip with your family, as soon as you're traveling to another country, you want to try some different foods, it's going to be harder to stick to in terms of the long term. So if at least I can bring you back to like 2,000, 2,500 calories, which would be, again, not in excess of what your body can handle, but would be what would be needed to maintain your new body, then you have a greater budget per day when you're out on the road or when you're at your house. The more food you're going to consume, the more vitamins, more nutrients, more fiber you're going to get into your body, the better you're going to feel. A natural response to when we do the reverse dieting, is people feel stronger, they recover faster, they build more lean muscle, and they have more energy because we're increasing the food. We're increasing the energy that's coming into their body, right? So this is kind of my analogy to explain how it works. So when you do a body recomposition phase, fat loss phase, your metabolism slows down. So you have the little flame that's on your guys' right side, right? You have the little flame. How do we go from the small flame to the raging fire on the other side, right? You don't throw a big log of wood. And then you've gone camping, you don't see a little fire, you throw a big log of wood on it, it's not going to work. You have to throw smaller pieces of wood on it over time. And eventually that fire grows and grows and grows, and then you have a raging fire, which again, it just simply represents your new maintenance calorie for your new body. All right, so that's what we do with the food. We slowly add food on a daily and weekly basis, depending on how your body is responding. Usually it takes about 4 months to do that, because the faster we increase, the faster your body has to adjust to the bigger increase and is more likely to store some of it as fat. We've done this over 1,000 times. It works wonders, and it leaves people in a much better position to eat more food after, and it's easier to sustain. All right? So usually the foods we add in terms of those calorie increase is carbohydrates. So, bananas, fruits and berries and things like that. Fats take longer to digest. Protein takes a little bit longer to digest, is more likely to be stored as fat at that point. So when you add extra fruits through fruits and grains and all these things that are primarily carbohydrate foods, gets converted to glycogen, your body uses as energy, right? So you're less likely to store it at that point. And then I'm going to end the presentation on this. I just like to tell this to our client. A lot of people say that it's selfish for them to exercise and eat healthy and take care of themselves. So I tell them it's the most selfless thing for you to do is to take care of yourself, exercise and eat healthy and become fit. So that the people that you love don't have to see you suffer, right? For someone that's been a caregiver, you want to do everything for them. You want to save them. If you don't take care of yourself, the people that you love will be forced to see you suffer and will have to take care of you. They will want to do it because they love you, but they don't have to if you're able to take care of yourself now, right? So it's selfless for you to take care of yourself, and it's selfish for you to not take care of yourself, all right? So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for listening. I got this last slide for you guys. Yeah, we'll take some questions for sure. Yeah. So you guys can scan this QR code. It'll bring you to a page with all of our links for YouTube, website, social media, all that fun stuff. So feel free to join our newsletter. And if you happen to be interested in working with us, there's a 10% savings for NHA. So you just let us know when you book your consultation call that you came from NHA, and we'd love to serve you. We've had a few people already join our family this weekend, so it's been beautiful. And you're on the road to 10,000 by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. Yeah.
Any questions? Clayton, you have a loud voice. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's your philosophy on timing the nutrition around workouts? How much time before or after eating?
Yeah, so if you're going to exercise fasted, trying to have food pretty much right after, because you didn't eat, ideally for like 7 or 8 hours or whenever you had dinner the night prior. So you want to be able to give that fuel to your body to recover from it. If you had breakfast before you went to the gym or a meal before you went to the gym, don't stress it too much. Come back from the gym, make a meal whenever it's time for your next meal, because you already have food in your system. So it would pretty much be, if you're training fasted, I would have something after. Primarily higher, a little bit higher in protein, higher in simple carbohydrates after. Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you so much, Maxime. And if I could get everybody to stay in their seats, we have the children coming up, and we're going to draw your wrap prizes.
Can I add one last thing?
Yes, please.
Okay. Something I end all my group calls with my members. Everything I shared with you today is absolutely worthless, and none of it will change your life or change your body unless you do something with the information. It's just a cool thing you'll be able to tell your friends that you know. So if you want to be able to change your life, grab one thing from the presentation and try implementing it today or as soon as you get home, because that's what's actually going to make the difference. All right?
Thank you, Maxime.
Thank you, everyone.